Okay, this is that moment of truth where I wait for it, and YouTube, I think you're awake. Rockfin, you awake? You guys know me. I don't have an on-site producer, so I have to make sure. I have to see it to make sure. All right, YouTube, we are live. What's up, YouTube? Twitter, we're awake. Twitter's always first. It's always a battle for second/third, and Rockfin is here. All right, we got everybody. We got the gang's all here, and you're gonna be in trouble. That's not, I don't think that's the words. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone in that morning time zone. That's where I'm at here in California. And of course, to everyone listening to the podcast later. Hope your errands are going great or whatever it is you're up to. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. This is the headline show. This is where we go through the headlines of the week and some of the news that I thought was important to share. And I got someone helping me through the headlines this week. You know her. She's a regular on this show. She ran for Congress. She's a comedian, and she is with child. She is with child, but she's here for you today. Please welcome back to the show, Lauren Ashcraft. Lauren, what's up?
I'm good. I am with child. 7 months of child.
7 months of child, and you're still rocking it. So
Yeah,
you're at the home stretch.
I am. Third trimester. Happy to be here. Not happy that our government doesn't appreciate the labor that is carrying another human for
Yeah.
9+ months. So
No kidding, or any other labor for that matter. But yeah,
that's true.
especially, well, I saw your tweet yesterday where it's like they wanted you. Well, why don't you tell it? You explain what happened. But
Oh my
I saw the
gosh.
tweet and I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. That's so amazing.
It's
The
happened
fact,
a few times. It's so annoying. Everyone listening, if your doctor won't put your test results in your patient portal and wants you to come back in, there's something wrong because first
right?
of all, you should be able to look at your results of your blood
Yeah,
and decide whether you have questions or not. If you don't have questions, there you go. You don't have to go back into a doctor's office. But mine doesn't put their results on the portal at all unless you come in to talk to them about it. And I didn't really feel like doing that because I was told that I would be billed for another office visit, which is a specialist office visit, which isn't covered because I haven't hit my deductible yet. So it would have been $200. So I didn't feel like going back in. And so I went to the actual lab that analyzed my blood outside of this patient portal that my results were never added to. And I looked at my results myself and everything was normal. So I saved myself $200 because I live in America and everything's driven by profit. Thank you.
that's so ridiculous. I mean, so for everybody, especially anyone who might not live in the USA, it might be. So Lauren got blood work done. She is with child. And to see her own results, they wanted her to come in and go through it with them. And then she gets charged for the privilege. She can't. So she had to go to a lab to save herself $200 and look at the results directly on her own. That is, first of all, to be totally fair here, uh, not everybody does that. I know that my place, like my doctor, they will post the results and you can look at them yourself. And then your
Amazing.
doctor will call you, and that is just sort of a gratis thing. That's not, and you are allowed to come in to go through it. And yes, that would be a charge because it is a visit, but they're going to tell you, yeah, nothing's wrong. This is the only, I think for me, it was like, yeah, your cholesterol is a little bit high. So just watch what you're eating a little bit. And that's that. Other than that, you're just
That'll
getting
be $200.
right. Yeah. I didn't need that. That was just over the phone. So it was no fee necessary. And that is so crazy, especially like a pregnant person.
Yes. And there's so many added layers to that too because people aren't masking on subways anymore.
Mhm.
So me going into a doctor's appointment actually is me risking getting COVID, which is a big
Right.
deal for me in particular because I'm trying to keep this baby healthy. So, uh, it's so annoying. I also don't want to get up and walk to my nearest subway and go up the stairs in July heat in New York City. So
Oh, yeah. No kidding. How hot is it right now?
It was 90 yesterday,
Ooh.
which feels like California weather, except we have like a bajillion% humidity.
Yeah, I was gonna say when it's 90 in New York, it does not feel like California weather. I'm not trying to gloat here. I'm just being honest. All right. I feel like we should be honest about it. Where it's like, yeah, no, the weather. I mean, I was actually with some friends last night, and we all kind of were looking around, and we were like, I was talking about a conversation I had with a friend of mine who lives in Maryland, and weather came up, and we were all just looking around, and we were all like, yeah, we are really spoiled here, aren't we? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, when it comes to weather, we are. But anyway, well, that's crazy. I'm glad you were able to save the $200. And wow, American healthcare. Gotta love it. That is
America.
insane. That is insane.
Biden care.
Biden. BC, which is how prehistoric it is. That's
Yep.
like so. Let's go over to Europe to start today. We're actually going to leave the United States. We're going to go to Europe because they are dealing with a crazy drought. We're not the only place in the world that has climate change. Obviously, the whole world's going through it. But Europe suffers under major heat wave. It faces drought and wildfires. So here's some of the cliff notes. Large parts of Europe are bracing for a major heat wave this week. Temperatures are expected to reach up to 40 degrees Celsius across southern and western parts of the continent. Spain endures a second massive heat wave of the season. Spaniards kept to the shade in the parks, headed for the beach or sipped iced drinks. So that part doesn't sound so bad. Tackling the big heat wave this weekend. That's cool if you could do that. And in Spain, they know how to live life there. They really do. Spain, they live well.
Yeah. Siestas.
Siestas. All right, so Portugal is on high alert. Portugal raised its alert level to the third highest on 4 levels on Monday, with the government saying thousands of firefighters are on standby, but it also urged people to prevent blazes. So there's fires going on in Portugal. Now, Italy, as far as I know, Italy is getting hit the hardest right now because Italy is in a historic drought. In fact, we're seeing breaking news right here. Apparently, the prime minister might be resigning over all this, over a coalition crisis or something. I don't know anything about that. I'm just seeing it breaking right in front of me here. We're not able to cover it today because this is my first seeing it. But here's what's going on with the drought. Italy found itself in the throes of the worst heat wave of the season, according to domestic meteorologists. Temperatures started to rise over the weekend. Now, this is the worst drought that they've had in, I believe, 40 years.
Wow.
70 years. So here's this paragraph. The heat wave, expected to last some 10 days, comes on the back of a string of highly unusual hot and dry periods, forcing the government to declare a state of emergency in 5 regions after a large portion of the country experienced the worst drought in the past 70 years. You can Google image this stuff and you could see just like lakes and bodies of water that are just completely dried up. And it's just cracked earth. The drought, now here's the scariest part here. The drought is estimated to have affected about 1/3 of Italy's agricultural product. So they're losing food here. And the latest, the 5th heat wave, is considered to be particularly problematic as overnight temperatures are also expected to reach record high. The government has also issued a number of recommendations for the coming weeks, including avoiding going outdoors between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., wearing light-colored clothing and sunscreen, and drinking at least 2 liters of water a day. So Italy's being hit pretty hard right now. And other parts of Europe, they're being hit pretty hard with the drought. Again, certainly heat waves do happen, but climate change is really, really exacerbating this. I mean, again, worst in 70 years. Now, let's go over to the United States briefly. What is the United States up to in all this? I mean, we obviously suffer from climate change too. Maybe we're responding to meet the moment. Are we? Let's find out. After lawsuit, a major Alaska North Slope oil project is again moving forward. Nope. Biden wants to drill in Alaska. That's our solution.
Oh my gosh.
On Friday, the Federal Bureau of Land Management released a draft environmental impact statement for the Willow Project, a major oil development planned for federal land on Alaska's slope. Willow, which at peak production is expected to deliver as much as 180,000 barrels of oil per day to the Trans-Alaska Pipeline System, is opposed by environmental groups who successfully sued to overturn a prior impact statement that would have allowed the project to advance. The release of the new impact statement is necessary to advance the project. So members of the public have until 10 p.m. on August 29th to state their support for one of 5 options for the project's future. So once the Bureau of Land Management initial draft says it supports option E, which reduces the amount of surface infrastructure to something less than preferred by ConocoPhillips. So they're still going to drill a little bit according to the impact survey so far. But basically, Cliff Notes, Biden's trying to drill in Alaska. After promising he wouldn't do stuff like that, I mean, he did promise he wouldn't ban fracking, but he also promised that there wouldn't be any new stuff. Now he's going back on that promise. And wow.
Which seems to be a trend.
Oh, yeah.
Being completely honest.
Just a little bit. Seems to be quite a trend. Yep. Well, he did keep a couple promises. He kept the promise of not banning fracking. He kept that promise. And he kept the promise of nothing will fundamentally change. Those are the promises he kept.
Broke that promise because things are getting worse, I will say, because in many states, women are at risk for being pregnant now.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. You're right. Yeah, he actually did break that promise because things have actually gotten worse. How did you feel the day? I mean, not to like totally shift topics, but how did you feel the day Roe v. Wade got overturned?
Well, I'm back in therapy. I love my therapist. She's getting me through. But I honestly, it's really tough because I do have anxiety, and these would be the times that one of my prescription medications would be very useful, but you can't take that.
When you're pregnant?
When you're pregnant, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Which
I didn't know that.
Think about that all in layers, because we're asking people to have babies that they are forced into having, whether it's through rape, incest, or they can't afford it, they didn't plan on it. And like whatever the circumstances, they can't have the medication that they need for 9 months. Gosh, it's all so traumatic. So whenever I hear about, okay, like my journey is this baby is very, very wanted and loved, and I am excited that she'll be born. Still very tough journey. But now my heart is like breaking for children and women who want babies, who have a miscarriage or ectopic pregnancy, which is 2% of pregnancies. So 2 in 100 women have ectopic pregnancies, which means that it implants in the wrong place and it will never become a baby, and you'll die if you don't get it taken out of your womb. I'm just thinking about all the women that are affected in terrible, life-threatening ways now, which is... Anyway, I know we deviated from the environmental aspect of this, but I'm very passionate about this because I'm going through it myself, and it's a tough journey, even though I have like an amazing support network, doctor, therapist, husband, like everything's there to make... I live in New York City, like a place that still lets me choose everything about my entire journey. It's still tough.
It's still tough. And you still have to deal with a lot of the bullshit of the American healthcare system, like what we just talked about. I mean, it's... So, getting back to the environmental stuff that's going on, and of course, like that, France is dealing with this heat wave. They're seeing record temperatures. London is going to see record temperatures. So it's going on all throughout Europe. I think that as of right now, Italy is the main place that declared a state of emergency. Their agriculture is in a lot of trouble. They're seeing record droughts. They're seeing record heat waves, but everywhere is suffering. And there may be some places that are also in state of emergency too at this point. Italy's been the one I've been following the most. And then you go from that and you go to drill baby drill here in the United States. And it just kind of goes along with that theme that climate change is definitely a worldwide problem. Obviously, it demands a worldwide solution, but this is just another case. And that the countries who are not doing the worst are generally suffering the most. Now, obviously, these European countries and England and stuff, those are developed countries, but the countries that are being hit hardest, I said being hit hardest by climate change are poor developing countries.
Yeah.
Like places in Africa, they're the ones who are suffering the most, and they're contributing the least. And here you just have another snapshot where it's like, okay, Portugal's suffering, Italy's suffering, France is suffering. England's suffering. Those are not developing countries. Those are rich developed nations. But are they as bad as the United States when it comes to climate change? No, they're not. None of them are. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like they are not as bad as the United States. And yet, in a moment where they're suffering, and they're doing more, by the way, they're like putting in efficient high-speed rails and stuff like that. Like they're making innovations constantly. Germany, in particular, has been doing a ton with rail. London has been doing a ton with other cities. So they're doing more and they're doing better. Meanwhile, here we're trying to drill in Alaska.
Yeah.
And they're tolerating that. And here's something in particular I wanted to highlight about Italy. This is something Italy started last year. This is from 2021. Why so generous? Inside Italy scheme offering huge subsidies towards low carbon eco homes. When the UK government announced this week, this is from a year ago, it would be giving grants of up to £5,000 to 90,000 homes to replace gas boilers with heat pumps. It was rightly criticized as being nothing like enough. So what Italy decided to do is that they're covering all the costs. They're covering all the costs to make your home a more low carbon, eco-friendly home.
Yeah.
And then they're giving you 10% on top of that. So they're covering the cost and then they're just giving you money to do it. That's what Italy's doing. That's significant. You would never see anything like that happen in the United States. And I'm not saying Italy's perfect. They're far from it. Nowhere is perfect. But this is what it looks like when you have a government that at least kind of gives a shit a little bit.
We can't even get a government. I remember like the Republican Party was like struggling very much with moving on from incandescent light bulbs. Like
yeah, right? I remember that.
Like we're so stuck in like the 1950s that we can't even see straight. And it's a real shame because you live on a coast. I live on a tiny island off the coast, surrounded by 9 million people, and we have less than a plan. We have no plan. We have a plan to make it worse.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, exactly. And it's like you see this simultaneous this week where it's like you couldn't write this stuff as a dystopian movie. Well, they did. They made Don't Look Up. So I guess technically you can. But like you can't. I mean, it just seems so diabolical where it's just like, oh, okay, so you guys are trying to drill in Alaska, this horrible frickin' idea that never meets any of our energy needs anyway. Like, it's just a scam. It's all just a scam. Whenever they drill, this isn't about meeting domestic energy needs because half the stuff doesn't even stay domestic anyway. It just gets shipped away. And it's at best just putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm. You want to solve our energy needs, we need to get off of fossil fuels and really invest in the alternatives. It's time. And the Biden administration in particular is in a historic moment where they can really lead that charge, no pun intended. But they could really, because it's like, look at what's happening with gas prices. People are realizing like it's breaking. It is breaking beyond repair at this point because you're in a place where people literally cannot afford to go to work now. They can't do it. I mean, part of the problem there is they're also not getting living wages, but it's a completely unsustainable system now where it's like even just the rubber band that was getting stretched to its nth degree, that rubber band is broken now. You don't even have the stretched out rubber band at this point. It's freaking broken. So now is the time to say we have to get off, and this is the finish line. The finish line is 2030 or 2025 would be even better, but we'll just say 2030. 2030, that's the finish line. We're done. I mean, they're sitting on a historic opportunity, and they're going backwards. Yeah. Literally going backwards. They're up in Alaska right now trying to go backwards.
I know, and we had obviously 4 years of like a complete tyrannical fascist, but now that we have the House, the Senate, and the White House, we should be able.
Doing nothing. They're doing nothing. I mean, it is so. And then there's always just the circus of excuses, and it's always been this way. People make it out like, oh yeah, they're just making it. No, they made excuses for Obama when he had full control. They made excuses for 40 years on why they didn't codify Roe v. Wade. There's always an excuse. And guess what, folks? The Washington Generals aren't trying to win the game. Stop making excuses because that's what's actually going on. The Washington Generals aren't trying to win the basketball game. And when it comes to environment, here's what happens. When Republicans have power, they will just be totally on the surface. They don't care. And they will just gut what little red tape was in existence, what little resistance was in existence. Republicans will just gut that out in the open. That's what Bush did. That's what Trump did. Then when a Democrat gets in, they will kind of take advantage of that a little bit more behind the scenes. Obama was like, oh, we're going to invest in green jobs, all the above on energy. Well, that was code for drill, baby, drill. Obama expanded fracking. Obama expanded the Arctic to drilling. He was no friend of the environment at all, despite saying nice things. Same thing here with Biden, although Biden's not even able to disguise it as well. But it's the same thing here. So Republicans got the rules even more, and then Democrats take advantage of it. They just try to be more behind the scenes about it. So you don't have any friends to the environment anywhere you turn.
No. No, it's really a shame. It's really frustrating because obviously, like, we are both very politically engaged, but like, you do get tempted to just like write in Jeff Goldblum or something for president because it's like, oh my gosh, like Biden, you have to do anything. Like one tiny step in the right direction for any of these crises would be glorious. You know what? Like give me a little bit of something. My standards are so low that you know what? Great. I'm not even getting that. I'm not even getting a crumb. That's how I feel.
No, it's getting worse.
Jeff
And
Goldblum for president.
here's the thing, too. I mean, a lot of these, and I know you're not one of these people, but a lot of these people who are acting so shocked by Biden, it's like he gave you 40 some years of clues as to who he is.
Oh yeah.
What were you missing? And these people who are acting surprised, it's like, what are you surprised about? This is why so many of us were screaming at the top of our lungs to make sure he doesn't get the nomination. We were
Yeah.
screaming for Bernie Sanders, which is what this country needed. And, if Bernie Sanders was in power right now, he would piss me off every freaking day. Let's be honest. Bernie would do plenty of things that would piss all of us off. But you know what? We'd be going in the better direction in a lot of ways too, because there's a little thing called executive orders. Bernie would have done a lot of them. He would have done more than Biden was willing to do by far, and we would be in a much better place. We'd still have 1,000,005 problems, and he would still piss all of us off daily because he would be collaborating way too much with these sinister people in the House and in the Senate. But we'd be a lot better off than we are right now.
I'd rather be angry at Bernie than just completely helpless.
I would, yeah, me too. Me too. I'd rather be like, okay, this is pissing me off, but here's by far the best president of my lifetime. And we're actually going in the right direction in some ways. He would have canceled student loan debt. He probably would have declared a state of emergency and given everyone health care.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no use dwelling on it because
in another universe, the Rons and Laurens are benefiting from a socialist government.
Yeah, or at least closer to it. I mean,
Yeah,
at least
it's
closer.
true.
But yeah, I mean, it's just you kind of look around and you just think. I mean, first you brought up 2024. Do you think we're going to see a Trump Biden rematch?
Oh,
So I saw right before logging in to do this show, I saw a headline that said Trump has decided on 2024. I didn't click it though, so I don't know. If anyone in the chat saw something, let me know. I literally just saw it before logging in to do this show. So I don't know if he said I'm gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it, or if it was just clickbait. It's like inconclusive. Like maybe he just said I've decided, but he didn't say what that decision is. I don't know.
I hope not. Honestly, Donald Trump, his list of reasons that he should actually be in prison is so long. I've lost track. Like the latest thing is that
nothing's gonna happen to
I
him.
know.
I mean, nothing's.
That's what's so frustrating.
I feel almost bad because it's like, well, in some ways I do, in some ways I don't. I mean, there's people who they talk about how much all these hearings are entertaining them and stuff. And it's like, that's great, but just so you know, that's all it's going to be.
Mhm.
It's just gonna be entertainment for you. I'm sorry. And I literally, I mean, some of my more, friends of mine who I don't want to say they're like centrist, but they're a little more, oh, I still have some hope in the Dems and stuff like that. Like, and we just agree to disagree on some things. They really do. And I'm just like, I mean, I have a friend of mine where I just told her, I'm like, look, just for funsies, we'll bet dinner. Nothing's gonna happen to him. And she's
Mhm.
like, oh, come on. And I'm like, I'm not trying to. I mean, I'm just telling you, nothing's gonna happen to him. He could run for president again. I mean, after two like
Yeah.
bullshit theatric impeachment shamble, like I mean that was a show. That
Yeah.
was a performance piece twice. It was
I
nothing more than
know.
that. The
It
guy could,
also
I mean, it's ridiculous. And by the way, all the stuff he was actually doing, the way he was corrupting, I mean, I feel weird saying corrupting the office because the office is already corrupt to the gills. But the way he was just having these on the surface blatant financial conflicts of interest, enhancing his own businesses. Meanwhile, they wouldn't let Jimmy Carter keep a freaking peanut farm. I
I
mean, it was
know.
all documented. It was all there. And it was like obscene. And they didn't even look at any of that stuff. You know why? Because Republicans and Democrats do similar shit. They
Yes.
do similar shit. So if they looked at Trump, you'd have to look at what Mitch McConnell does. You'd have to look at what Nancy Pelosi does. You'd have to look at all of them too. They sure as hell didn't want that. So
Oh,
instead, they
yeah.
focused on Russia, 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 blah, 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 a bunch of high sugar fluff. And it was a show. It was a show. And then you had these other CIA Democrats like Adam Schiff, who are just clowns on a whole other level, just enrich themselves through this absolute bullshit. And it really sucks because there are a lot of people who think that shills like that are actually looking out for them and are actually doing a service. They're not. They're just using you and enriching themselves. It's just the other coin of Trump. That's why Adam Schiff and Donald Trump hate each other so much. Game recognizes other game, and they're jealous of each other.
It's true. It's true, and it is also frustrating because now with the hearings going on, like I've tuned in and the list of things that Trump should go to prison for is so long. Should being the operative word because I believe he won't pay any consequences at all. And then the American public just gets the resounding message that we all pay consequences because we're real people. But if you're rich and or powerful and or connected to these elite people, you can do whatever you want. You can even try to overthrow the government. You could try to murder all of Congress and nothing happens to you.
Yeah,
What?
I mean, I have not watched the hearings, but I will. I have no confidence at all there would be an honest hearing there. Like there would never be. They would never conduct something like that the way they're actually supposed to, because because it's all just a show, and B, because well, I guess there really is no B. It's all just a show. Like they would
Mm,
never actually look into what does it mean to incite violence? Did Trump do that? And a proper court of law with proper, constitutional experts, free speech experts, they would not be invited to the table at all. It just wouldn't
yeah.
happen. I have no confidence in that happening. And now, granted, I am someone who openly says I have no confidence in our justice system, nor do I have any respect for it. So that's the place I'm coming from. Just up
Man,
front
you're
about it.
never going to get picked for a jury.
No, good. I mean, yeah, like that's I would answer all the questions right. They're like, do you have hope that our justice system can reform people? No, I
Nope.
don't. No, I don't.
Yeah.
It is a for-profit scam. It does not. I mean, most people who end up in prison end up back there. So no, it does not rehabilitate people. It does. I mean, you could look at other countries. There's other countries, their prison systems actually do accomplish that because they're not based off of profit. But the United States, no, I have no confidence in that. So I have
I
no
agree.
confidence in any type of justice in any area. I don't think Donald Trump will face any consequences whatsoever. I think it's all for show. And I will admit, I did get a big kick out of his roasting of Elon Musk. Not gonna lie, it made me laugh. I don't see how anyone couldn't laugh at that. And if there ever was a roast of Elon Musk, I would vote for Donald Trump to be on the dais. That's the only thing I would ever vote for Trump for.
Oh my gosh, and also Merrick Garland, I think what does he plays Animal Crossing um 24/7. When he's not sleeping or eating, he's playing Animal Crossing and has a really nice island set up with all of his debts paid off in that game to the raccoon landlord.
How do you know
Um
this?
oh no, I'm making it up. But
Oh,
I am
I thought this was true, and I'm like, how do you know? I've never played Animal Crossing, so that's like an interactive online thing, right? Like you,
Oh, where are my Animal Crossing fans?
I'm sure I'm getting roasted in the chat right
No,
now, and
I
deservedly
probably
so.
am.
For
No,
no, maybe
I love Animal Crossing.
I think it's no, it's a reflection of how tragically uncool I am. It,
No, I'm uncool. I sit around playing. One time I was having lunch with somebody and they're like, "What's this Animal Crossing game that you talk about online?" And I was like, "Oh, hard to explain. It's kind of like, you're gardening on Nintendo instead of in real life." And like building a little playtown. And they're like, "Yeah, but where are the animals? Like, what do they have to do with it?" And I'm like, this is gonna sound weird, but like they're your friends and neighbors.
all
Then I was
right.
like, I am a sad person.
And people love it, but you're in the know about it. I mean, I'm not in the
Thank
know about this stuff.
you.
My I moved recently, and my new neighbor, he's really into that stuff, and I don't know anything about it, but he's like a big gamer. He does like the Twitch thing, and I was invited to a couple events, and I'm like, I don't. I mean, I would just kind of sit there and sip whiskey while you guys do your thing. Like, I don't want to. I never got into video games ever as a kid because it
Okay.
gave me a headache. So
Yeah.
I was always the kid that everyone liked to invite to those things because I never wanted to play.
Oh my gosh, did you just watch out of support? Because that is the best kind
I
of
just
person.
wanted to hang out with my friends, so I'd be like everyone would be fighting for the, controller, this was in, like, the Sega, Genesis, Nintendo days, and it gave me a migraine, so I didn't wanna play. I just wanted to watch and hang out.
You are the best friend to have.
I was always invited. I mean, I was always invited because they were like, "Yeah, Ron doesn't wanna play." And you know what's weird is I was too shy, or I don't know, shy is not the right word. I guess embarrassed. I was too embarrassed to say that that was why, and I don't know why. I
Oh.
don't think anyone would have cared. Like, if I'd have been like, "Hey, man, for some reason, if I'm playing, it gives me a headache, so I just don't like to play." They would have been like, "Okay, cool. Happy to not have to share." But I never said. They were all like, "Why don't you wanna play it?" I'd be like, I don't know. I played a lot on my own time." Like, I would make up shit.
Aw,
I don't know
little
why I did that.
Ron.
Yeah, right? I don't know why I did that. Like, I shoulda just told the truth. Like, it wasn't. I don't know, maybe I thought there was something wrong with me that I got headaches from this stuff. Uh,
No, kids have a weird time, like it's a hard time expressing stuff. I in preschool, I went to like the YWCA of my small town in Western Pennsylvania, and they had a pool, which was awesome. But I saw the decals at the bottom of the pool and thought it was a moving shark. So I wouldn't get in the water because I thought we were all gonna die like every Tuesday when we had swim class.
how
And I
old were you?
couldn't. Oh, preschool. I actually
Okay.
5? I don't know the age that I should learn when kids go to school.
But you're like, "I was 16.
I was 75.
Someone told me sharks don't hang out in swimming pools. How was I supposed to know?"
Yes, but if I just express now in my 30s, I can be like, I was afraid of the moving decal at the bottom of the pool. But I couldn't say that. You couldn't say that playing video games gave you headaches. It's hard to communicate as a kid, I think.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Speaking of stuff that gives me a headache, let's go to some more news. So, you guys know, and Lauren, I know that I've shared this with you. I've shared this with everybody. I have been collaborating with Fight for the Future to try to get two really great antitrust bills through Congress and signed. They're kind of sitting in Congress right now. These are two antitrust bills that break up big tech. If you're not familiar with the details on these bills, go to antitrustsummer.com. Please sign the petition or check out the other videos I've done as of recent. I've talked about these bills a lot, a lot. I'm not going to go through the bills again right now, but I will give an update on where everything is at. So it's up to Chuck Schumer to bring these bills to a vote. Now, Chuck Schumer has said he supports these bills. So bring them to a vote, Chuck. The reason he says he doesn't is because they're not sure the votes are there, even though a couple of reports from Reuters indicate the votes are frickin' there.
Then let it fail, Chuck.
Yeah, bring it to a vote. And if it's going to fail, let it fail, but at least bring it to a vote. Here's the thing. Guess who has daughters in big tech? Chuck Schumer. One of his daughters is an Amazon lobbyist. The other one works for Meta, which is Facebook. Chuck Schumer gets a lot of big tech money. So this guy has a million conflicts of interest. So he's saying he supports these bills, but does he? We don't know. Fight for the Future had paid for a video billboard to drive around his residences in DC and New York, blaring the John Oliver video, calling on him to call a vote for these bills. And guess what? They're back from their hard-earned recess, folks. They had their recess. They earned it. They've been working so hard. So now it's time to bring this to a vote. Because if it waits until the August recess, guess what's going to happen? They're going to come back. They're going to be in election mode. And this thing's going to fall by the wayside. And they would love for that to happen because it would make their big tech donors happy. But here's an update. So here's an update right now. The focus is on Schumer. Tech antitrust is getting personal. The Senate is back from recess, again, hard-earned, but it's not clear that the tech antitrust bill is any closer to the vote, even as the late summer kickoff of the election season threatens to derail the measure entirely. So here's a few updates here. Fight for the Future, who I've been collaborating with, sent a letter to Schumer's office urging him to disclose tech donors to a powerful Schumer-allied outside dark money group, which is run by a longtime ally and largely benefits Senate Democrats. The letter says quick transparency would help mitigate an ongoing appearance of conflict of interest and help reassure a public that is questioning your hesitation in cracking down on big tech despite broad bipartisan public support for doing so. These bills have the support of Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley. So these are people that one of them was written by Amy Klobuchar and Chuck Grassley, a Republican in Iowa. The other was written by Richard Blumenthal. So these bills have supports from Republicans, Democrats.
But they're not going to pass, Ron.
But they're not. Yeah. He said, they're just not. They have so much bipartisan support, and they have so much public support. The public loves these bills. So here's the thing. Look, politicians don't like to do anything unless they're forced. And who has their ear really easy? Big tech. But here's the deal. If these are crazy popular bills and the public is screaming at them to pass it and they don't want to lose their jobs in November, they're going to pass the bills. They're going to surrender this one. That's how politics works in a freaking oligarchy. They only do good things when they're forced to because they want to keep their jobs. And eventually they kind of have to give in to the public a little bit to keep their freaking jobs. So they're just going to say, sorry, big tech lobby, please keep the checks coming. But we got to give the public a little bit of a win here because they're screaming at the top of their freaking lungs. That's how we got net neutrality. And that's how we got net neutrality at the state level after they took net neutrality. And that's how we're going to get some antitrust legislation. Gee, Ron, you have confidence in antitrust legislation in the United States? Yes, I do. You know why? Because it happened before. We had antitrust legislation in the 80s. It broke up AT&T. Long-distance calling became cheaper. And then we got devices like the modem, which led to the World Wide Web. And that happened under frickin' Reagan. So guess what? Antitrust legislation can happen in this country, even if the people involved are absolutely despicable, which of course they are. But you have to force politicians to do things they don't want to do. That's how it frickin' works. If you're going to, people are just like, well, I don't know if I want to, I don't like Chuck Schumer. And I just like, when are you ever going to like who's in charge of the Senate? When do you think that's ever going to happen? Did you like Mitch McConnell? Was he your guy? Of course you don't like Chuck Schumer. He's terrible. Of course you don't like Mitch McConnell. They're terrible. So make them do something they don't want to do.
Yep. Yeah. Also, I don't know. He's my senator, so I know what I'm going to do after I get off of this. Yep. I'm going to call. Going to make my husband call. Going to get all my friends to call him and bother him and leave messages. And also, you know what? His daughters should get real jobs. Stop holding up the progress of the entire country so that your daughter can maybe get like a Christmas bonus. I don't know how that works, but my gosh.
That's the other so frustrating thing. Like these bills, like I'm not in any way implying that these bills will solve all of our problems in big tech. Of course they won't. No single piece of legislation will. But these bills are a huge step in the right direction. They open the door for more innovation. And guess what? These bills don't stop Google and Amazon from doing like the things they're doing as far as products and services are concerned. They can still offer you Prime. They can still offer you your Google Maps. It's not going to harm any of that. All it does is it stops the monopolistic practices that they do of having a near monopoly on the App Store because everyone else has to pay these exorbitant fees and commissions to them. And it stops them from prioritizing their own products and services over everyone else when you search for something. That's all it does. It doesn't stop them from offering things they want to offer. It doesn't stop them from offering, the services that people like or the products that people like. They're still going to make plenty of money. They just might have to share the road a little bit because there's going to be, and guess what? This is why it has support on the right too. That's competition.
Where are all these free market capitalists?
Right. Where are they? Well, some of them are actually on board with this, and that's why. Yeah. But the ones who aren't, it's just like, well, this is as anti-competitive as it gets. Aren't you against that? Aren't you like? Don't you want competition? Don't you
socialism, but only for Facebook?
We should make that T-shirt and send it to Chuck Schumer's office.
Yeah.
Socialism, but only for Facebook. If you don't support these antitrust bills, you want socialism, but just for Facebook and Amazon and Google.
Communists. Mark Zuckerberg, communist.
That guy. They're all just they are like just comic book villains in real life, like all of them.
Yeah, they are.
Like Mark Zuckerberg. It's like he has every element of like a villain origin story. Like I wanted to make this website where you could rate women, and then I became really rich from it. So I was like, how can I become even more rich? I'm gonna sell everyone's data. You're the product. Like, what a psycho.
Yeah.
What a psycho. Say with Jeff Bezos, I'm going to sell all these products at a loss, and eventually I'm just going to like corner the market, and I'm going to get a bunch of loans from all my rich friends, and then I'm going to exploit workers to the nth degree. And then we write articles praising this bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, these are
also he owns the Washington Post.
And he owns the Washington Post and has deals with the CIA we don't know the details about. But what a great businessman. No, like what a freaking psycho. Like this is evil incarnate. Like
yeah. Yep.
So go to antitrustsummer.com. Again, we're still fighting. Please go to antitrustsummer.com. It takes 40 seconds. Sign the petition. It goes right to your elected officials. Demand action on this bill because if we scream loud enough, they will have to pass these bills. We have a chance at winning. Please, folks, antitrustsummer.com. Stop lecturing everybody on how you're going to stay here and fight fascism if you can't be bothered to take 30 seconds out of your day to sign an online petition. All right? You're not fooling anyone. I'm going to fight fascism at home. Really? Where's the fascism in your basement that you haven't left in 20 freaking years? All right? Sign the petition.
Antitrustsummer.com.
Yeah.
Antitrustsummer.com.
I know that might not be the most encouraging way to put it.
No, I love it. I think it's good. But I'm
just so frustrated at this point. It's like we have a chance here and we have to scream. All right, antitrustsummer.com.
Antitrustsummer.com.
So, all right, I have a fun one for us to close on today, Lauren. And I've read this a couple times. And full disclaimer, I'm not even positive I completely understand everything. But people who watch this show regularly, they know I geek out a little bit when it comes to extraterrestrial stuff. Despite sometimes not understanding every single word of what they're saying that they saw. But this is interesting. This is fun. And I brought it in. Some people hate it when I do this. Other people love it. Like some people, they're just like, Ron, we get it. Like you're kind of intrigued by this stuff, but you're really just geeking out hardcore. And we're just like, other people are like, yes, I share this fascination. But all right, so here's what's going on. A heartbeat signal is coming from a distant galaxy. All right, so they picked up a radio signal that's an unusual one. All right, scientists have found an unusual repetitive signal coming from a distant galaxy. The blast of radio energy is flashing in a pattern that has been likened to a heartbeat. Scientists say it is a
Oh,
fast radio burst or the still mysterious and powerful blast of energy that come from deep in space and which scientists still do not understand. But it is strange among the blasts. It is nowhere near as fast, lasting for up to 3 seconds rather than the milliseconds of usual FRBs. The signal is flashing in a periodic pattern of a kind that is rarely found in the universe. The blasts of energy repeat every 0.2 seconds. So the repetition is unusual and the blast itself is unusual. They're not familiar with stuff of this type of frequency, so they don't know
interesting.
what it is.
Ooh.
Well,
I
like, what
mean,
could it be?
with the James Webb Telescope stuff, which, if you're not like into science, I understand why people are like, oh, it's a picture of stars. But the thing is, you can see, I think it's 13 billion light years away with this telescope. And you can see all these galaxies that we had no idea about. And I find it hard to believe that we're the only intelligent life out there. I think it's
Oh,
impossible.
I think it's totally impossible. I mean, like, just this ridiculous infinite sea of planets.
Hmm.
And you think that somehow we're the only and by the way, the people who believe that, their logic is so incredibly faulty because they're just like, well, how do you explain that we just happen to have all of the elements that allow us to have sustained
Well,
life
but the
right
Bible
here?
says that Jesus
Or
Christ.
that, or that. That's the even word. But it's like someone made this analogy on Twitter. I wish I could credit the person, but it's I thought it was just so brilliant. They're just, when people are just like, well, how do you explain that here on Earth we just have all the elements to sustain life and blah blah blah. It's like we adapted to this point. We adapted. That would be like if there's a big pothole in a road and some water falls into that pothole, forming a puddle, and all the water in that puddle was like, this pothole's just for us. No, you adapted to it.
Yep.
You adapted to this pothole. Just like these are the circumstances on Earth. We adapted to it over years and years and years and years and years and years and years. So to think that that can't happen on other planets is absurd.
Yeah, I agree. And not even just planets, but like so many galaxies
Yeah.
with so like with their own star in the middle that provides warmth where they're orbiting around. Like
So two fun things to like end today on. Two questions. I think you kind of already answered this, but I'll just kind of like pose it again. Do you think there's other intelligent life out there?
100%. 100%, and that they're better than us.
Okay, that was actually going to be my follow up. Do you think there's civilizations more advanced than us? So I believe both those things too. I do think
Yeah.
that yes, there is intelligent life out there, and I do think that yes, there are civilizations more advanced than ours.
Yeah, they definitely do like acid. They're going to like come to Earth one day and be like, "You guys fight with each other? What's up with that?"
So that's what I want to believe. That's what I believe. And I don't have anything other than just my own hopes. I don't have any evidence supporting this. This is I mean, I don't have any, like I don't have any religion in my life. So I guess this is the closest thing to faith that I have. I think that there are more advanced civilizations out there. I think that they have made contact with each other. And I think that the barrier to entry is you have to eradicate war. And once you eradicate war, they come say hello to you and they welcome you into the Federation or whatever it is. That's
Yeah.
what I believe. And I think that if humanity can eradicate war, which God, I hope I see that in my lifetime. I doubt I will, but I dream of that tomorrow, and I try to do whatever I can to help us get there. But I think that's when they come and they say hello to you. I
I
really
like
do believe
that.
that.
I think that's an admirable goal we should work towards no matter what. And they're definitely like having these ceremonies where they're just like tripping on acid
Yeah,
and they're like, look at these guys over here. We'll
I
just give
like I
them
like
like
that. I like that your first go to is they're really into drugs.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. For legal purposes, I'll just say I know some people who've tried acid and they came out better on the other side. Not advocating, it's not for everybody,
Not for
but I
everybody.
will say I think if all of Congress did like an ayahuasca journey with a shaman, I think that we would not have the predicaments that we are experiencing today.
I think half of them would quit.
Yeah, they'd be like,
I
what the
think
fuck have I been doing? Why do we send
this
weapons?
isn't the way.
Yeah. They're like, I've been so focused on profit when all these people are just dying and they need me. What an asshole I've been. Yeah. So anyway, I think maybe whenever we take over, we should make it a prerequisite to, you know, go have a journey, a psychedelic journey with a shaman, and work out your bugs before you represent your constituents.
I like it. I'm on
Thank you.
board. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope someday we make contact with a more advanced. So I really do. I do believe it's out there, and I really hope. I mean, do you think there's anything to some of the stuff that's out there right now? Like some of, I mean, we don't need not necessarily like, oh, the Greys are out there and they could shock you, but like some of the UFO sightings. Like, do you think there might be something to some of it? I mean, I think that there have been some sightings we can't explain. Whether
Yeah.
it, I think in many cases it's just experiments from the military that they're not going to let us know about. But I do think in some cases, like, yeah, it could have been extraterrestrial life just kind of flying about for whatever reason.
Yeah. I hope so. I
Yeah,
hope that
me
they
too.
take us over. Teach us to live better. I don't know. I'm sorry, aliens, if you're listening. We are not responsible for the whole of our society acting the way that it does, and especially not responsible for the decisions that the United States government makes on our behalf, but because it's not really on our behalf.
Well, so part of me thinks, well, like, why can't they come up to some of us and be like, look, here's the deal. We have this advanced world out there. We want you to be part of it. We can fix climate change for you. We can do whatever, but you have to eradicate war. So it's like on you. Like, why wouldn't they make some individual contact there? But then you kind of take a step back and you're like, well, I realize why they wouldn't, because they would put themselves at risk. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they would be like, so everyone would, if somebody came out tomorrow and was like, there's a more advanced society out there. They made contact with me. They said if we eradicate war, that's all we have to do. Everyone would think that person was crazy. Hell, I would think that person's crazy, and I really want that to be the reality. You know, like I
Yeah.
wouldn't believe that person. Would you? I don't think any of us would. So, of course, like a more advanced society is not going to make contact until you eradicate war. And you got to do that on your own. They can't give you the nudge. They got to do it naturally, or we can't go see them.
Oh my gosh. All these movies where people are afraid of aliens, they're like, oh no, like Signs, they're like hiding and really afraid. They're like hiding in their cornfields and stuff. I'd be like, hey man, welcome. I would
Mm.
offer them cake. I don't know.
Well, I guess we have to accept that they could be hostile, or they could just want to take us over.
Are
I
they
mean,
more hostile than the Republicans that are trying to kill children?
one would hope not. But, like, here's the thing. When you look at the history of our civilization, which is the only thing we have it to go by, those who made the most advancements then went on to exploit everybody else. Have you ever read there's a book, I don't know if you ever read it, called Guns, Germs, and Steel. Have you ever read that?
Oh my gosh, I know my husband has. Oh,
It's
I read it in undergrad, but
okay.
my mind has been erased since then. So
No, no, no.
please.
I feel yeah. Well, it's a beautiful book, and it's been a while since I've read it too. So I'm certainly not like fluent on everything off the top of my head, but like it basically explains how some civilizations flourished while others not so much. And of course, it just has to do with seasons and vegetation, and the fact that animals would eat seeds and then shit out the right seeds, and shit would grow that people could eat. And in other places, that didn't happen as much because they were deserts or whatever else. So
Mhm.
they really struggled while other civilizations thrived. And then what happened? Well, those other civilizations conquered the ones that weren't as fortunate climate wise, basically. So I guess if there's more advanced civilizations than us out there, which I do think there are, why are they more advanced than us? Is it circumstantial? Is it environmental? I'm sure it's a little bit of everything. And some of it, of course, is just out of our hands. So would it be natural for them to just want to exploit us? It very well could be. You'd like to think they're advanced to the point where they're beyond that.
It's true.
But
If they
it's
make
hard
it
to
all
say
the
for
way
sure.
here.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, for all we know, like they might just see people who are still at war. I mean, they just might see us as animals. You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
Like
We
so.
kind of act like it.
Well, we are. I mean, definitionally, we are. We
are.
we are just the animal that's at the top of the food chain. You know?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
It's so nice that you don't. I feel like you're such a like pleasant person.
Oh my gosh,
And then
I feel
just
like a terrible person, but thank
no,
you.
you're not a terrible person. I mean, and then like I just say all this shit where I'm just like, we are just the most advanced animal on the food chain. Lauren, to you.
Yes, we are. This is why we get along, because I actually just agree. I simply agree. I would let you know if I were offended, but so far it's never happened.
Oh, I appreciate that. Lauren, where can people go to learn more about you?
Oh my gosh. Well, tomorrow it seems like we're gonna be. Am I allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. You are. I don't know if it's like totally. I guess it's totally for sure. But yeah, unless something changes, well, go ahead. Tell everybody.
Well, it seems like me and Ron will be co-hosting Status Coup tomorrow.
We'll be filling in. I guess I think Jordan is out on the field covering something, and I think so is Tina and some of the. So Lauren and I will be guest hosting Status Coup tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, and not sure what all we'll be talking about, but I know that the Friday shows over there are a little more cash, so it might be a little chatty, a little fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, you can catch Lauren and I on Status Coup tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, unless something weird changes between now and then. But, otherwise, Lauren and I will be guest hosting Status Coup tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. And it'll be a lot different than Get Your News On With Ron, because you won't have to put up with me being like, I'm waiting for it to go live, because they have an on-site producer there.
That's exciting. Oh my gosh.
It is, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
so fancy. They're so fancy.
That's right. So
Otherwise, you can find me in front of an air conditioner.
I don't blame you. Yeah, no kidding. And then is your show coming back? I know you kind of had to put it on hiatus, but
You know what? You know what? Thank you for bringing this up. I have really switched to TikTok. I was
cool.
I found the prospect of like coming and rebuilding my YouTube presence a little bit daunting, and I have been putting sketches and movie reviews and food tasting on my TikTok at Lauren Comedy. So
Lauren
if you would like to check me out there, I'm having a lot of fun. It's maybe my favorite social media. Twitter is where I vent, and that's at Vote Ashcraft, but TikTok is where I can be creative, and I would love your feedback, everyone. At Lauren Comedy.
Man, you'll have to give me some lessons. I'm
I would love to.
I'm still trying to figure I mean, I know how to use it, but I don't spend any time on it. Like I feel like to do good at a social media platform, you actually have to like spend time on it. And I
watch entirely too much. It's
okay, but
sad.
That gets you into like you understand you understand the culture better. Or I feel weird calling a social media thing culture, but I can't think of a better way to put it.
It does have its own culture. Although I can't say I like have cracked the code, because I put some videos on there that I'm really proud of that meet all the requirements, and they get like 12 views.
Well, so here's the weird thing about all that. Like my TikTok is not very big. I mean, I don't even know how many followers I have. I can't talk today. I don't even know how many followers I have, but I know it's not a lot. Like I think I have less than 1,000 followers on that.
Same. Yeah. I'm
so
same.
like I don't really know what I'm doing, but I've had like random things happen to me where I've gotten like some pretty substantial projects. Some like I can't talk about quite yet, but I've gotten some kind of substantial projects because of these goofy videos I make where I walk around the beach and talk about a topic. I mean, you
I
guys watch,
love it.
and I drop my beach videos on YouTube Shorts too, so you see them here as well. But I drop them on TikTok, and I mean, I got on the Discovery Channel because of
Oh
that,
my gosh.
because they found a segment I did about the Port of LA. It went, I wouldn't say super viral, but it went a little viral. So the Discovery Channel picked that up. I got a
That's
TV credit out of
amazing.
it. So
Well,
it's
you're doing great.
random.
You don't need my
Well,
advice.
no, I do. I still don't know what I'm doing though. I still haven't been able to build anything. But I was gonna give up on TikTok entirely, but then these random things happened because of it.
Oh.
So it's weird. I mean, it's weird how that works, where it's like, and then on other platforms you might have bigger numbers, but it never leads to anything. I mean, I don't know. Anyway,
Well, let's collab on there.
let's do it.
Let's be creative. I
Yeah.
feel like it's the most creative social media.
Okay. All right. Cool. Maybe I got to dive in a little bit more
Yeah.
and try to
Yeah.
figure it out. But yes, there will be a status quo happy. They call the Friday show. Getting back to that, they call the Friday show happy hour. So yes, it will be the status quo happy hour. Lauren and I are going to be guest hosting tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we're excited to see you all there. Lauren, thanks so much for being here, and
Thank
I'll see you
you.
tomorrow.
So I'm excited for that and see you all there too. Thank you for having me, Ron.
All right, cool. See you later. Peace.
Bye.
All right, guys. Before we get out of here, I will make a couple quick announcements. First of all, go follow Lauren at Fodashcraft and Lauren Comedy on TikTok, and you'll see her tomorrow with me on the Status Quo Happy Hour. Robert Gilbert, what's up, buddy? How are you? Thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. Enjoyed the Boston show. Me too. That was such a fun freaking show. If you tour Iceland next summer, I'll follow you there. Too hot here. Ha! Please do. And yes, for those of you, I'm sure you guys know this already, because I do talk about it a lot, because it made me so sad. But I had to postpone my Iceland shows because I got COVID around the same time I was supposed to travel out there, which really sucks. But I'm hoping to reschedule next summer and collaborate it with, have it coincide with my UK dates. I'm planning on touring the UK next year. Don't know where all I'll be going, but probably London for sure, Edinburgh, very highly likely. I might even do the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So going to be doing some UK stuff next year. I'm thinking I'll just tag Iceland along with that. And Robert, please plan on making the trip. As soon as dates are confirmed, I will announce them. And that would be so cool if some folks from the US wanted to make a trip to Iceland, plan a vacation out of it. That'd be so much fun. So please do that. And I'm hoping that my wife can come too. That's what I'm really trying, because like she wasn't able to make the trip with me, which was a big bummer. I wanted her to come, but she couldn't. So I'm hoping that because I had to postpone it, once I reschedule, she'll be able to come out to Iceland with me. They say that that's a trip that you do coupled up or with the family, because it's just such a romantic place. So as a married man, I really would like it if my wife could explore the hot springs and the Blue Lagoon and stuff like that with me. So anyway, thank you for that, Robert Gilbert, and thank you for the Super Chat contribution. You help keep this show on the air. And guys, tour dates, I got them. RonPlacone.com. I got to fix that light. It's a little weird. I'm still working on that. I moved recently, folks. I'm still like relocating everything. But anyway, tour dates. Graham Elwood and I are coming to the Northwest. Get your tickets now. July 28th, Portland, Oregon. July 29th, Seattle, Washington. July 30th, Vancouver, British Columbia. RonPlacone.com for those tickets. That's myself and Graham Elwood. Those are our only co-headlining dates of 2022. And those are my last dates for the year. I was supposed to do Canada and Iceland this year, and then some U.S. cities near Canada. We had the run in April, myself and Chris Moen. I was supposed to do Iceland. I had to postpone those because I got sick. And then coming up, we got Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, British Columbia. So those are my last tour dates for 2022. So grab tickets, RonPlacone.com. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/RonPlacone. For Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content. You can watch my mini pilot Loner, which has not been released to the public yet. And I'll make you a theme song. And I'm unrolling a new perk soon that is going to be open to patrons first before I unroll it to everybody. And it has to do with the new podcast series, Expatriate, which is all about different ways to leave the United States, should you want to be looking into doing that. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Venetia David, what's up? I hope all is well in the UK and you are staying cool. Because, yeah, I know it's hot out where you're at. But thank you very much for the super chat contribution. You help keep the show on the air. You say thanks. Thank you very much for that. And I can't wait to see you in the UK next year. I'm going to try to make sure I'm not there during a heat wave. Thank you, Venetia. Thank you, Robert. Y'all help keep this show on the air. Thank you all for being here. Go follow Lauren. Come hang with us tomorrow at the Status Quo Happy Hour. RonPlaco.com for those tour dates. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow. I say peace, love, and a general strike.